Hello, how are you? While NASA and the United States are renowned for being the first to set foot on the lunar surface, Russia holds the crown of space exploration pioneers. Back when it was known as the Soviet Union, they were the ones to venture out of Earth's orbit for the first time. Not only that, they surpassed the achievements of the Americans, being virtually the sole source of information about the planet Venus and the first to closely observe Mars. In fact, the Soviet Union's exploration missions to Venus and Mars unveiled significant discoveries and potential evidence of alien life. However, this information was kept confidential from the public for many years and only surfaced through a former cosmonaut in the 1960s. During the peak of the space race, with Yuri Gagarin as the first human in space and the Sputnik as the first satellite in orbit, the Soviets were leading in various aspects. Amidst these victories and triumphs, numerous stories and profound secrets were concealed from the public. Now, on their deathbed, a former cosmonaut has disclosed everything. What are these secrets? How long were they kept, and how do they impact our understanding of the cosmos? The launch of Sputnik 1 marked a historic milestone in space exploration, being the first artificial satellite ever deployed by humanity. This significant achievement took place on October 4, 1957, when the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1 aboard an R-7 Semyorka rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Orbiting the Earth at an altitude of approximately 215 kilometers, it completed an orbit every 96.2 minutes. Its presence in space lasted until January 4, 1958, when it re-entered the Earth's atmosphere and disintegrated due to friction, concluding its mission. This accomplishment propelled the Soviet Union to the forefront of the space race during the Cold War, a period of intense rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. The news of the Soviet success with Sputnik 1 had a significant impact and raised concerns in the United States, leading to the acceleration of their own space programs. In January 1958, the Americans launched their first space program, Explorer 1. However, the Soviets had already sent the first living being, the dog Laika, into space as part of the Sputnik 2 program in November 1957. Laika's story, despite its unfortunate ending, is a noteworthy part of this narrative. The space race became a symbol of the rivalry between the Western and Eastern blocs during the Cold War, showcasing the technological and scientific capabilities of each side. The Soviet Union's efforts toward lunar exploration through manned programs aimed at achieving human landings on the Moon rivaled the United States Apollo program. Despite publicly denying participation in this competition, the Soviet government secretly conducted 2 programs in the 1960s. The first involved manned lunar flyby missions using the Soyuz 7K-L1 spacecraft, nicknamed Zond, launched by the Proton K rocket. The second aimed for a manned lunar landing using the Soyuz 7K-LOK and LK spacecraft, launched by the N-1 rocket. The Zond program, designed to launch cosmonauts from Earth to circumnavigate the Moon, faced reliability issues with the new Proton rocket, the 7K-L1, and the Soyuz 7K-OK on which the L1 was based. Faced with the notable successes of the American manned lunar orbit with Apollo 8 in December 1968 and the first moon landing with Apollo 11 in July 1969, along with catastrophic failures of the N-1, both Soviet programs were eventually terminated. The Zond program based on Proton was cancelled in 1970, and the M1L3 program was effectively concluded in 1974, officially cancelled in 1976. Despite the widespread belief that the United States was leading the space race, little did the world know that the Soviets were not idle. Unknown to many, Venus and Mars were already part of the Soviet Union's plans. Moreover, the secret space exploration missions towards Venus and Mars conducted by the Soviet Union unveiled intriguing discoveries and potential evidence of alien life. These revelations have remained hidden from public knowledge, shrouded in secrecy and mystery. To gain a better understanding of this context, let's delve into the details. The Russian program in question was named Venera, with the primary objective of reaching the planet Venus, a point of significant interest due to its physical similarities to Earth. In 1961, the Soviets launched Venera I, a probe equipped with a range of innovative scientific instruments. This spacecraft featured a magnetometer connected to an antenna extension, 2 ion traps for analyzing solar wind, micrometeoroid detectors, Geiger tube counters, and a sodium iodide scintillator for monitoring cosmic radiation. An experiment coupled with a solar panel served the purpose of measuring the temperatures of experimental coatings. Additionally, the presence of infrared and/or ultraviolet radiometers was not ruled out. The thermal control was skillfully maintained by motorized blinds, which played a crucial role in managing the internal temperature of the probe. This combination of instruments and control systems provided the mission with a comprehensive data collection capability, enabling a deeper and more precise exploration of the space environment. Despite encountering issues, the spacecraft still managed to transmit some unique information back to Earth. To gain a better understanding of this context, let's delve into the details. The Russian program in question was named Venera, with the primary objective of reaching the planet Venus, a point of significant interest due to its physical similarities to Earth. In 1961, the Soviets launched Venera I, a probe equipped with a range of innovative scientific instruments. This spacecraft featured a magnetometer connected to an antenna extension, 2 ion traps for analyzing solar wind, micrometeoroid detectors, Geiger tube counters, and a sodium iodide scintillator for monitoring cosmic radiation. An experiment coupled with a solar panel served the purpose of measuring the temperatures of experimental coatings. Additionally, the presence of infrared and/or ultraviolet radiometers was not ruled out. The thermal control was skillfully maintained by motorized blinds, which played a crucial role in managing the internal temperature of the probe. This combination of instruments and control systems provided the mission with a comprehensive data collection capability, enabling a deeper and more precise exploration of the space environment. Despite encountering issues, the spacecraft still managed to transmit some unique information back to Earth. For a precious 23 minutes, Venera 7 became a wellspring of knowledge, sending valuable information back to Earth. Its meticulously designed instruments, crafted to withstand extreme conditions, offered an unprecedented glimpse into the atmosphere and surface of Venus. During its brief existence in the Venusian atmosphere, Venera 7's radar captured furious winds blowing at over 100 kilometers per hour. The Soviets continued to astound the world with their space excursions, steadfastly working towards materials and structures capable of enduring the intense heat of Venus for longer durations. For instance, Venera 8 managed to survive for 50 minutes, Venera 11 for 95 minutes, and Venera 12 reached 110 minutes without being scorched on the surface of Venus. The triumph came with Venera 13, which arrived at the neighboring planet on March 1, 1982, with a singular purpose: to touch the scorching surface of Venus and capture its essence in colorful images, an unprecedented feat. As soon as the probe made contact with the surface, its skillfully designed instruments and cameras began transmitting colorful images of the exotic landscape. These images, with tones reflecting the diversity of Venus, were undoubtedly a major revelation for scientists on Earth. The probe captured the majesty of vast plateaus and the complexity of rocks that dotted the landscape. Venera 13 had achieved the unthinkable, providing an unprecedented view of Venus in vibrant colors, a world once shrouded in mystery and shadows. Certainly, the images caused a certain stir among some scientists. One of these scientists, Leonid Xanformalidi, claims to have evidence of life on Venus within the grainy images obtained by Venera 13. Leonid firmly believes there is an insect, resembling a scorpion, present in one of the images. He asserts that the images reveal a body, a disc, and a black fin that emerge, float, and disappear. According to him, if we don't dismiss the theory that there is no life on Venus, it's likely that we might see a living being in that object. However, Jonathan Hill, a NASA employee, contradicted Leonid, stating that the high-definition images clearly demonstrate it to be a mechanical component and not a living being. What are your thoughts on what it might be? Just as there are living organisms and volcanoes here on Earth, wouldn't it be logical to have a similar type of organism on Venus? It's not just the hellish planet where the Soviets outpaced the Americans. Mars was also visited for the first time by a Soviet spacecraft, Zond 2, in 1964. In fact, earlier missions had been sent to the Red Planet, the Marsnik 1 and 2 missions in 1960 and the Mars 1 mission in 1962. However, none of them managed to reach Mars, with the first two failing right after launch. Zond 2, whose destination wasn't Mars but Venus, still passed through an area where the Red Planet was visible and managed to send some images. In 1971, the Soviets reached Mars with the Mars 3 probe, which also carried a small rover called Hover, specially designed to overcome obstacles on the surface. Mars 3 comprised an orbiter designed to study Mars from orbit and a landing module tasked with landing on the planet's surface. During the descent, the landing module transmitted valuable data and information, providing insights into the Martian atmosphere and other parameters. Unfortunately, the rover lasted only 20 seconds. Nevertheless, the success of Mars 3 positioned the Soviets ahead of the Americans in the space race. One of Mars 3's objectives was to determine if there was life on Mars. It goes without saying that everyone was startled when contact was lost in just 20 seconds after landing. This led to speculations and mysteries about what really happened with the mission. However, photos of part of the probe and the parachute were sent back to Earth, signaling the success of the landing. All these events preceded the later successes of NASA in space exploration, but they leave the Soviet Union at the forefront of many discoveries. Yet, all the discoveries were kept under wraps and covered by the Iron Curtain of communism, which surprisingly did not want to share knowledge with the rest of the world. The achievements and space losses of the Soviet Union only became public with the Glasnost, a term referring to the internal political changes that occurred in the early 90s, transforming the former Soviet Union into today's Russia. Much of the information, especially about Venus, was leaked in the early 1990s, precisely during the Glasnost period. It's impossible to determine who was responsible for revealing Soviet secrets, but allegedly, it was an unidentified former cosmonaut who did so before passing away. Perhaps, for them, there was no longer any sense in hiding their country's achievements from the world. These achievements, however, were not celebrated or widely accepted and studied because, before the world saw Russia for what it is, a red curtain was used to conceal even the redeeming aspects of the former Soviet Union. Thank you for watching, and until next time.